shop called Malleable. 2 doors down from that, the Pink Lady. 5 doors down from that, the Green Monster.
It's the entire economy in Canada these days. In some parts of the country,
some parts here also, like in New York, California, New York, Colorado. Some of these states you go to, it's just like that. It's incredible, beautiful. But then certain states, like you drive through Texas, and you'll do 20 years.
You can drink and drive.
Right.
With an open fucking thing of Jack Daniels.
That's right. So now we are live, I think, and we can restart this whole thing because that was really fun. Although, thanks for the entertaining intro there. So, Donald Trump came up today in the deposition that Richard Kahn gave. It was quite a stunning thing. I mean, we've certainly known that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein have been close friends for a long time, that they've enjoyed the party scene together for a very long time. We know that they have the same taste in women, which Donald Trump described as being on the younger side. But there is something we learned today that we didn't know for sure until today, which was that Donald Trump's accuser was paid a settlement by the Epstein estate. And that is dramatic news for those of us who've been following this for a while, because, generally speaking, you don't pay off accusers if you don't think that there's some legitimacy to what they're saying. I mean, it's just not normal for that to happen. So that is one of the things we're going to be discussing today, and we'll listen to a bit of the press conference in a bit. The other thing that came out today was the 5 big names that Richard Kahn identified as being the major names that provided funding for Jeffrey Epstein. So we'll go through those 5 names. There's no surprises there, and it may not be the full list, but, it's interesting that happened. And the third thing that happened today, which is something, Dean, you mentioned earlier on the 5 stack, which is all about Comer. Yesterday on Fox News, Comer admitted something that we all knew, that in 2019, Donald Trump killed all the investigations by the FBI and the Justice Department of every investigation into Jeffrey Epstein after Jeffrey Epstein died.
Yeah.
Which, is an unusual thing to do when you think about the guy just died as a crime, as a victim of a crime potentially, and you kill all the investigations. You add all those things together, you've now got an accuser who's getting paid off by the Epstein estate, an accuser of Donald Trump who's getting paid off by the Epstein estate. You've got the shutdown of all these investigations during the Trump presidency by the Trump DOJ in 2019. And it's not just that there's a cover-up. There is a sustained effort over 10 years or more to shut down this investigation and make sure that this does not see the light of day. And maybe we'll start with our future congressman there, Lev Parnas. What's your thoughts about everything that we found out today from the deposition and that little bit that leaked out? We're still going to have the full transcript, but the little bit leaks out today.
Yeah, I can't wait. Well, I think the first thing you started off with was, I think, a doozy. I think that's I should be breaking news all over. I understand the Iran war is happening. I understand there's a lot, but the fact that we validated think about what we've been talking about. Just if I take you back for a week. About a week ago, a little over, there was breaking news. All of a sudden, Roger Sollenberger, after Pam Bondi's deposition, I think that he came out and said, wait a second, we found this. There's another 13 or 15-year-old girl that there's depositions in here at 302s that are missing. This whole thing came out. All of a sudden, they started blocking it. We started covering up. The Wolff pack got right on it. Ellie, Zev, Kate, you guys went through it incredibly, and what did we uncover? Yeah, there was a lot more to it than just a complaint. There was 3-4, that there was follow-ups, there was 302s that were missing, and then we realized that there was actually a payoff to a victim by the Epstein estate. And the one thing that everybody was doubting, saying, well, we don't know if this is the same person that accused Donald Trump, and she got, well, today that got basically not validated, but the facts are out. I mean, basically, we have a 13 to 15-year-old victim that accused Donald Trump, the sitting president of the United States, of some of the most horrific thing about, I'm not even going to repeat, about how he smacked her in the head and all the other things. And today the accountant validated and said, yes, that we paid, the Epstein estate paid off this victim in 2023, I think it was. I don't know, but recently, I think it was.
I didn't get the date on when they paid off, which is actually interesting. If any of you have the date, it is really interesting.
You know who might have it actually is Ellie Leonard. Ellie, can you
have
some of those
details?
Yeah.
But just to be clear, nothing in this suggests that the accusations against the president at raping this young girl at 13 is proven out by the fact that there is a settlement. I mean, there just isn't. You can often settle with people, and just there's no necessarily validation in the details of it. We should say that because there's no.
Oh,
we
absolutely.
still are. Yeah,
we
still are
should.
questioning. Yeah,
but we have to say it, and this is the sad part, folks, because we have to say it because we're living in such a divided country right now that we have to give these pretext and explanations. But look at the bottom line. Look, if I'm sitting right now here and I walked outside, it was sunny, beautiful sunny, and all of a sudden I hear thunder and I hear that it's pouring, and I come out and it's soaking wet outside, but I didn't see it actually rain, I could, think with my own head, say, yeah, it probably rained just now. That's the logical solution. Same thing here. Same thing in a court of law, folks. Not every conviction is with a smoking gun. Like Donald Trump has pushed the narrative to such a degree. You like how I said narrative, right, Dean?
Sweet branding move,
right? You like how it works.
You're branded all the way up and down. You got the Wolfpack T-shirts. You got the Lev Parnas Congress thing.
Dude, he doesn't even know how he does
it. But just think about that, and that's where we're at today. I'm saying to you, and so it's go ahead.
Yeah, no, if I can, and again, I kind of want to loop back to Ellie here, and to your point. I mean, we don't even need the sounds and the noise. We've got visuals. We've got 31 different verified sexual predation accusations against Donald Trump. 31 to my count. We've also got a rape adjudication. He's an adjudicated rapist. I mean, this isn't just a pattern. This is who he is. This is what he does. And so, Ellie, when we talk about a payment to from Jeffrey Epstein and Jeffrey Epstein's estate in 2023 to an accuser who might have been a minor, who might be this Katie Johnson lady, we don't know. I mean, this is all in the ether. But point us in that direction according to your research, if you can, or at least try to help us make some sense of that. Because what we heard today was very vague. And then, the congressman said, hey, let's wait for the transcripts. You'll be able to see everything. What did you make of that? How do you parse this together in something that, we can populate in terms of really decent understanding of what it is that was paid off, who was paid off, and who you think it might be according to your research?
Well, this has been a test of my research skills because everything that was described and supposedly took place was all very, very pre-internet. So for the past 48 hours, I've been, underwater with microfish and archived newspapers and little learning how to do different versions of different names. And it's a tough case because her mother was married multiple times. Her names changed multiple times. They moved every 6 months. The kids all had different last names. There was a lot of interesting things. I learned what age she was. I found out her birth date. I found out she had 2 brothers. And so I got yearbooks from those years because you can find the yearbooks online and started matching up siblings to figure out who these kids were and where they went. There are things that we still need to discover, but everything that she said in the minute details, I was able to track down. She said that her mother bought a house in this complex in 1981 for $55,000. And I found the deed for the house her mother bought with her mother's name on it. I was able to find the crimes that her mother committed. I was able to find the welcome note in the newspaper when her mom moved to town with the kids to become a realtor that said this person is now working here and she has 3 kids in the school system and this is their names. And so I was able to track everything down, but there's really specific details in this case that have to do with the where, what, when, why, and how. But the main things we have to find out is if there's anything on the record, if there's any paperwork that was kept that would show that Epstein rented a house there, because these were vacation rentals. These were not long-term living arrangements. And then the whole place went through a bankruptcy. So they went through these multiple iterations. And then we have to figure out if he took the girl back up to New York. Hi, Kate.
Hello, Kate. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Kate Justice.
Figure out How are you?
We thought Dean did a change, but no, Dean's still here. Hey, Dean.
Dean,
Hey
I
guys,
thought it
no,
was
I lost audio because all my shit doesn't work. So anyway,
Because
hi
we'll
Kate.
make your shit
It's
work
so
in the
nice
next few
to
days.
finally meet
Feel
you.
that.
Hi Kate.
But you know what?
Hey, Justice, Dean
Oh,
Blundell,
yeah.
Kate, Dean, great. Sorry,
I
Ellie,
want-
you were in the middle of a very important conversation.
Oh,
So why don't
yeah,
you just
keep going,
finish
sorry.
that?
what Ellie was saying is extremely important. I wanted to touch on it too. Go ahead, Ellie. I want to say.
Yeah, so when you go through these, I've gone through the articles, the what is it, the Post and Courier out of Hilton Hilton Head
Hilton
Beach,
Head, yeah.
Carolina, yeah.
Yeah.
No, they do
They
great
are
work.
doing they're doing the most fantastic journalism down there for a small town newspaper. They're actually their main journalist. She worked, I forget where she worked. She worked for a major news outlet, and then she came down to work back at her hometown newspaper. So just amazing journalism, the things that they've been able to scrape up and find. But there's just, like down to, I was saying the other day, the woman described that she had a panic attack with one of her roommates because he was wearing a certain kind of cologne that triggered her, that she didn't know would bother her. She didn't ever think about it, but she smelled it and she had a panic attack. And so they traced back to figure out, and her roommate remembers this. They looked to see what kind of cologne he was wearing, and it was called gray flannel. Gray flannel was from the early 80s. So that would be, a trigger for her. There was just a lot of, like, when you think of the story of Donald Trump, the victim didn't initially tell that story. She wasn't forthcoming and saying, like, this happened to me. It was actually her close friend and confidant from high school that came forward and said, she told me these stories years and years and years and years and years ago, and she's leaving this part out. And so the FBI interviewed the friend, and she said, this part happened. She's not saying this, but this part happened, and that had to do with Donald Trump. And then they went back to her and she validated that, yes, that did happen with Donald Trump. But she didn't, again, she called this guy Jeff. She didn't know who Jeffrey Epstein was. She'd never heard of him until we all had heard of him. And so you can say, well, was it Jeffrey Epstein? Was it not? But she remembered that the guy who did all this, who pretended to hire her for babysitting because she had flyers out to babysit in the neighborhood, she remembered he looked like Lurch from the Addams Family. And that was like her memory of him, and which totally, that hits. Like, he totally looks like Lurch from the Addams Family. And so her friend was like, hold on, this guy's in the newspaper. I need you to come see this. Showed her the newspaper article, and she's like, that's the guy. It looks I mean, he's older, but like that looks like the guy. So she was one of these people who, she's had 4 interviews at least with the FBI. She's fully represented by high quality law firms, that give credibility to her case. And she also didn't really want to talk to the FBI. She wasn't very comfortable doing it. She kind of didn't want to say everything. They stopped interviews. They came back other days. She wasn't somebody who was like really, really excited to tell this story. And again, we have to prove things. We have to prove that he rented a house there. We have to prove that she was on a plane up to New York with him. But there's a lot of credibility to the things that she's saying because, again, she did receive a settlement from the Epstein.
Yeah, and I think it's just, before you jump in there, Lev, let me just say that you're absolutely right. And I differ with some of my research from your research, but it's impeccable work you've done. And absolutely, the question mark that we have is, was Jeff Epstein the Jeff that she's talking about? Did he have the modus operandi of drugging or giving drugs and alcohol to this girl, which is unfamiliar to us? And then the timeline is really challenging between when he met Trump and Epstein, or when they supposedly met, and when this incident supposedly happened. There's a few other details around concerts and all sorts of things we need to figure out. But the one pattern that is consistent is the fact that Donald Trump pays women off who make accusations of rape against him. This is a pattern that we can see happen over and over again. We saw it with Stormy Daniels. We saw it with all the other women, 30 women that you've mentioned, Dean. And it's also what we saw happen in this case with Jeffrey Epstein, in this case, paying that settlement, which is hugely significant. Sorry, Lev, go ahead.
No, absolutely. Thank you for adding that. But I just want to say, first of all, incredible work, Ellie, Kate, Zev, Dean. But I just want to say one thing. Just think about what we're talking about. There's a person sitting in prison right now by the name of Weinstein that probably first of all deserves it all along. Ellie knows it. She worked on the case. But let's understand. There wasn't crowdsourcing that was doing this case with Weinstein. The Southern District of New York was doing it. Right. Think about all of this accusation, all of these things that are coming out. If this was properly done by the FBI, by the Southern District of New York, by all of these things, Donald Trump would not be president probably of the United States. Let's understand, folks. Like at some point, he would have been called in and questioned and testified. And this is, I mean, there's, you know, we could sit here if we made a list, if we took the Epstein files and we took a look at whose name is in most of it. Let me ask you this question: how many people are actually accused of raping girls in the Epstein files? Well, as far as I know, it's Donald Trump, it's Epstein, maybe what, Ehud Barak, I think, right?
Just daily. There's a few. There's quite a few.
But Donald Trump is part of that specific group.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to you is you're
More than anybody else.
More than anybody else. And he goes farther, where the actual right now victim we're talking about is getting an actual settlement on the record. We're talking about all of these things that bring Donald Trump. There's so much like they call circumstantial evidence that if he wasn't being protected by the DOJ, if he wasn't being protected by the FBI, if this was really a normal case, right now he would be indicted and there would be a DOJ FBI investigation going in through all of these things, connecting the dots thoroughly, looking into it, where, you know, and there's a lot more like that. I've seen a lot more people sit in prison for a lot less of circumstantial evidence
like
we're
you
seeing. Thank you, Dean. Thank you. But what I'm saying to you is, like, if it smells like a duck, walks like a duck, talks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a effing duck. You know what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, we keep looking for that smoking gun. I think this is the smoking gun.
Oh, there's a fog. There's never mind a smoking gun. There is so much smoke you couldn't see. You couldn't find your way in it.
It's like
I mean, it's just
100th
endless.
smoking gun. This is the smoking
Yeah.
howitzer. Like, you know, when we talk about what happened today in Richard Kahn's testimony, and I said this to Zev today, Lev, which is weird when I said this to Zev today, Lev.
Everything right.
I said that there's so many Levs and Zevs here. But I said this today. I said this is the first, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kate. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ellie. Love you both so much. Love your work. Everybody subscribe to these two incredible human beings right now. But if, as far as I understand it, and co-sign this or tell me I'm wrong, this is the first time we've got a financial transaction that's happened between victims of the Epstein estate, as it has anything to do with Donald Trump allegedly raping, trafficking, sexually abusing a minor. Is that not correct?
I mean, as far as I know, like,
he's the only one. Him and
at
Jeff.
least in terms of like a deposition, like, you know, maybe there's things in the files, maybe, but as far as like somebody that's been deposed or anything that's new that's come out, yeah, exactly.
Someone
Somebody
under
talked.
oath.
This is a can of worms. Actually, there is a huge story to be told, and you know we'll all tell it, I'm sure, in the next few months, about the settlements that happened after Jeffrey Epstein's case. That Richard Kahn and Darrell Indike, as the executors of the estate, doled out tons of cash to a bunch of people, survivors, victims, call them what you will. There were different categories. There were some people who enabled it, who were classified as survivors, but they weren't really survivors. There were some people who were pimps, basically, and were still got funding out of the state, because it's a way of
some funding.
Yeah, because it's a way of keeping people quiet, right? I mean, you pay people off to keep them quiet. So there is $25 million of settlements that were paid out, including to this woman who made these allegations against Donald Trump, which we have to all look into, and we all have to question who decided on those, why were they allowed to make those payments, and who, you know, why would Indike and Kahn be the ones to do it?
Indike and Kahn were catalysts for all the payments, just so everybody understands something. And what I understand to be true is that the Epstein estate had about $650 million in liquid cash. And then on top of that, we've got JP Morgan Chase, which ended up in
assets. I think it was assets, $650 million in assets.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Great. 650 million. Drop in the bucket.
I have been actually writing about this, so that's why I was late to the show. So
Kate, give it up. Why are you holding up the details? Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm like in the home stretch here. I'm gonna hopefully publish it tonight because I have no self-control, and like when I finish something, I just publish it. Because
I know you get excited too, don't you?
Yeah, I'm like I can't wait.
I got all the keywords in there. I'm gonna get it in.
And
let's go.
It's gonna have to be two parts, but the gist of it has to do with Kahn, and it's funny that he was deposed today, and but really I found something between oh god, I can't remember his name now.
Indike?
No, it was I guess you'll have to wait for the story. I'm like blanking because now we're talking about these guys. But it basically broke down the Farkas. That's who it was. Farkas.
Andrew
It was
Farkas.
between
Mhm.
yes. It was
Andrew
between
Farkas?
Yep. It was between Epstein and Andrew Farkas,
Why
and
do I
it
know that
talked.
name? Remind me. That's just when
He
you said
is
that. I just
all
came up.
tied to Trump. He donated to Trump. He went
I know that
to
name.
his
Like when you said,
first inauguration with the Sultan, I believe.
I know Andrew Farkas. I gotta look into my Rolodex because when you
Yes,
said Farkas, I said
feel
Andrew.
like you would know Andrew Farkas. But anyway, this broke down this $100 million
Dean with the
payment.
receipts.
Yes, there he is. That guy. And it broke down this $100 million payment that he was trying to justify. You know, he's like, well, I can go to all these banks and it's like a 2%. You know, I'm too poor to really understand all this stuff. So I had to do a lot of research, but it's like 2% where, you know, I can't justify the cost of Jeffrey Epstein essentially. And it's this conversation between the two of them. And it really breaks down what Epstein was doing. So it started to make sense. Well, maybe this is what Leon Black was really paying for. And so I really started to figure out it has to do with a lot of the sovereign wealth funds and the fact that these sovereign wealth funds need a place to put all of their money, right? If they invest their money into their own countries, then these families risk the chance of these countries doing something and taking some control. You know, as of right now, a lot of these royal families control the sovereign wealth, but they aren't really investing it. So they need these vehicles to invest it outside. And I believe Jeffrey Epstein was the vehicle that they used without needing to do all of the compliance stuff, you know, because when you get these people in the rooms, the SEC and all these people who are watching, they're going to go, what are these guys doing if this was through an actual bank? But Epstein didn't have that problem. So
Well, it might be that they were trying to buy up some assets. You know, these sovereign funds are very dangerous in terms of their ability to come in after a big crash, and then they buy all the remnants of whatever crash is around, and then at pennies on the dollar. And Jeffrey Epstein's the guy who would know what to buy because he's the one who helped crash it.
And exactly. So this all ties into Kushner and 666 Fifth Avenue.
Right. That's interesting.
That's where me and Rudy would smoke our cigars.
Call.
You and Rudy
got
got crazy at 666. Did you?
Yes, it's actually 666.
What's the
Grand Havana?
The Grand Havana.
So I'm not so sure that this was a bad investment. I think it might have been a little bit different. So this is what I was working on. I'm like in the home stretch, and I was like, and Lev messages me, he's like, "Are you coming?" I was like, "Yes, I am." I just like totally was immersed in this because I'm trying to figure a few last pieces out.
It's such a good thread that you're pulling there because that's in fact where this all leads to. There's no doubt about it.
This is.
I'm going to just show you something. I just pulled this up because I happen to have it on hand here. This is the will that he. By the way, if you're ever looking for pictures of Richard Kahn and Darren Indike, it's very hard to find. Those are the two I was able to find. So they've got some really smart people helping scrub the internet of their images.
There, right? Couple good-looking dudes there, Richard Kahn and Darren.
Yeah,
just a couple of movers and shakers.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how he got that job, but this is the will that So the original will he scrapped just before he dies, or whatever, suicides, or have murdered, or disappears, whatever happened to him. Yeah. And then these two, Richard Kahn and Darren Indike, get possession of this estate, which wasn't previously what the plan was. So it's suspicious that they get, the estate, and then they dole out all this money to all these victims or survivors, $25 million worth plus more.
A fraction of what they actually have. I mean, like it is the tiniest little fraction of the money that estate really has.
Then they pay off JP Morgan gives the US Virgin Islands $240 million, also supposedly going to the victims, but I don't know if it ever did. And it just all becomes like a bit of a grift, it seems to me, after the death of Jeffrey Epstein. But it's also his girlfriend, Shilia, I forget her last name.
Oh, Karina Shiliak.
Karina, who's a Belarusian woman, I don't know what to say, whose father might be involved in all sorts
Female?
of intelligence
I think
operations.
the word you're looking for is female. So
Female, yes, sorry.
Exactly. That will help you out. It's female.
You know, it's always difficult because they say that, don't go there.
That's why. That's why Dean is here. Dean's here to help. Don't worry
he,
about
she.
it.
I mean, what are her pronouns? Let's go there.
I was just talking. I get confused. It's always about the age because when you
Right.
talk about the women versus the girls in the story, they were
Right.
girls when they were raped, but they're women now. So it's
I know,
always
right?
that's where it gets confusing. But anyhow, my point being, you've got an unusual change in the will and testament just before Richard Kahn, the guy that's deposed today, who lied through his teeth, obviously, because he said he knew nothing about any crimes. He knew nothing about any wrongdoing that Jeffrey Epstein. It all happened behind the scenes. He did not come across any of the models or anything like that. All he did was facilitate payments as requested by Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, that
Financial
is
crimes. All he did was endless financial crimes.
yeah. I mean, it's just a lie. It's a huge.
Yeah.
No one could believe that. You just couldn't believe it. It's not possible.
Ellie, talk to me. I know you're
Oh,
busting.
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
he's in like every single email. Like
Mhm.
I've never even thought about transcribing his emails because I don't have enough time left in my life
Mhm.
to get through them all. He's in every email. He controlled every financial interaction, which would be everything that came out of JP Morgan would have gone through him, which we know that everything that came out of JP Morgan was corrupt and criminal. But also, like on top of these liquid assets or whatever you want to say for the $650 million that he was worth. He also had this offshore Southern Trust that just kept making payments to some offshore account after he died, and nobody knew who was receiving them. Nobody knew what the payments were for, but the payments continued, and we don't know where they are or how much they are, but there's obviously offshore accounts. That was obviously very, very planned so that money couldn't be accessible, and that had to do with a lot of his like Virgin Island stuff. But there's money that we're not seeing that is purposeful.
Remember to that point, I remember I don't know if it was a text message or an email, but he was talking to Karina and he had just casually said, and I don't know if it was redacted and I assumed that, or I could actually see her name, but he wanted to make her an oligarch. He said that. He's like, I want to make you an oligarch. He didn't say Russian, but he
Basically
just
did.
said he said oligarch. And so I know that he left a lot to her, and then Lev
Everything.
was everything. That's right. And
Yeah.
and mentioning the intelligence. So I'll have to dig into that. That's really
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting if she's connected, if her family's connected to Russian intelligence or Belarusian intelligence, and we think that he himself was connected to Russian intelligence. It's pretty wild that this is happening. Now, Richard Kahn also kept track for Jeffrey Epstein of Donald Trump's assets and tax declarations. Throughout the entire Epstein files, you get constant reminders of Epstein asking Kahn for the latest details, of Kahn forwarding Michael Cohen emails to Jeffrey Epstein, where they're describing how many assets he really has, that Donald Trump really has all this money. It gets into the minutia quite a lot. Do any of you have and I'd be really interested in any of your answers, an idea of why he would be so interested in Donald Trump's finances during his presidency?
Well, I mean,
Let's talk to the OG mega sausage maker in the sausage factory, Lev Parnas. Everybody.
You want me to make some sausages? I love you, man.
Where's your phone? It's about time you pulled up your phone.
This is after hours with Dean. The kids are asleep. Hopefully, yeah.
I've seen Dean
Kids
like
are
this.
asleep. The dog is fine. My partner is having spaghetti squash and sausage. Let's fucking deal some ham here, Lev. What do you know?
I forgot the question.
The question was about Richard Kahn. Richard Kahn looking at the finances of Donald Trump for Jeffrey Epstein.
Why does he want to keep tabs on Donald Trump's taxes? Why does he want to keep tabs? Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I think it's getting more and more obvious. Same thing is why we need to get Steve Bannon in there. Why we need to get Michael Wolff in there, because Cohen. You can see the link. Well, Michael Cohen, obviously. I'm scared to mention his name and not start a shit show. every time we met. I don't know why.
You have the shirt. You have the shirt.
I have the shirt. It's crazy.
He named the group. Like you might as well
Yeah.
just.
But that's the crazy part. You could
Is it
name
boy band?
everybody as soon as you say Michael Cohen, everything goes haywire. You know what I'm saying to you. But yeah, I mean, look at the bottom line is Epstein was definitely, and you saw through some of the text message emails, his relationship with Russia. I truly believe through and what I'm working on, and still I can't give you factual like smoking gun, but just like from the circumstantial evidence that me, Zev, and everybody else, from my opinion, is Epstein was definitely an asset for the Soviet Union, not even Russia, going back to the Soviet Union when it was the KGB. He was then when it in the 90s when the fall happened, Epstein became an operative with these oligarchs and became a major money mover, and because part of what the KGB that became the FSB, and then Putin really unleashed was the oligarchy around the world. And these people needed people like Epstein to also get them into these situations, and to be able to get them into the right deals, to be able to give it to society, to be able to, in the 90s and before, like what Ellie's going through before, like you said, microfiche and stuff like that. This was before even the internet was really around, and that's
We've
why
all
I
used
think
it. All of us university guys in the
correct,
90s.
exactly. It's funny. It's like
It
me and my wife
sucks.
were talking about. I asked her. I said, "Do you remember the beepers? We had beepers back then."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, it makes me feel so old. But yeah.
Beepers
So
are
I
back
mean,
in
look,
now. Everyone's got a beeper now, so it's okay.
so if you
I don't
take a
have
look,
doctor
yeah,
friends.
right.
I
I
don't
was
have any
gonna say,
friends.
but
Except you.
Go ahead, Lev.
Liver.
But if you take a look at exactly one of the emails that we've also found and we've spoken about is right before Trump went to meet with Putin in 2018, right up until those conversations, there was conversation between Epstein trying to get information to Putin, and there was information that Bannon was also, they were between Epstein and his brother talking about if Bannon was giving information. So from what I'm seeing and putting all the dots together is basically there was an operation going on into Donald Trump. And while he was a president, Epstein was digging into, during his impeachment, during all of these Michael Cohen stuff, trying to get more information, more compromise, more, and that's why I think Steve Bannon's going to be an extremely interesting individual in all of this with Michael Wolff, because I think they were playing both sides and they know a lot more about the relationship between Russia, Epstein, and Trump, and all of this, all the way up to when he was in presidency, because I think the crimes occurred. See, this is where, and I want to make clear, because a lot of people say, "Oh, come on," the crimes occurred back then. Epstein has the information. That's why Epstein knew he has over the time. You see in these, he had the goods on Trump. That's why he said Cohen has the goods on Trump. He always kept saying there's goods on Trump, so he knew there was enough. But when Trump actually made it to the presidency, just like the Kremlin, just like the world, just like Epstein, everybody's like, holy shit, now we got this guy. So everybody started looking into what compromise, how they could use it and start. Epstein just didn't get a chance to continue. But
You don't think Epstein was in favor of Trump? Was he pushing for Trump to be president? I think I got the sense in the emails that he was really supportive of Trump, maybe even involved in the whole effort to elect Trump.
Yeah, well, for his own
thought he was
purposes,
an
because
idiot. I know
right,
that.
exactly. He
I
thought
think
that would have the dirt on Trump, and he would be able to use him and manipulate. I don't think they got a chance to. I think.
Yeah, he looked at that like an opportunity, right?
Correct.
Yes,
Correct.
I
That,
agree.
exactly. I think we're on the same. I think, and that's where I think Bannon was such a useful tool in that, because Bannon was so close in Trump's orbit that I think the two of them, and that's why Bannon was trying to re-image him, give him back in. I think the two of them had a longer plan. That if Epstein, and this is where I think Barr comes in, and I think this is why Epstein got arrested when he did, why the cover up started, because I think Bannon and Epstein were looking to come to Trump with something, with the plan, with the deal, because they were working on something going on. But yeah, he was a benefit because he thought he was an idiot.
It's an open
He
question.
was a
I think
target. I think
target.
Trump
That's
was
a
a
great word.
target because I mean,
Exactly.
if there's emails in there from Epstein's pilot pretty regularly about, okay, Trump's departing this time, we have to depart at this time, and I get the impression, like you had brought this up, Lev, but I get the impression Trump had no idea that was
Yeah.
happening.
I agree with
I
you.
think he
I agree
thought
with
that Epstein was like in his network, because there's emails of Epstein openly being at Mar-a-Lago, you know, during his presidency. So there's no way that Trump didn't know he was there, at least. Maybe they weren't like hanging out best friends, but I mean, he had to know he was there. But I don't think Trump knew he was a target the way he was.
Correct.
A
But
target
he
of Epstein? Do you think
100% was.
Epstein was targeting Trump?
Oh, he was, yes, 100%. Trump was a
100%.
target for
I agree with
intel.
Kate. 100%.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
everything
curious
that
to know
we've
why.
seen. Sorry,
you think
everything
that?
that we've seen over the past, and yeah, like please kind of fill that story in. But everything we've seen in the past, I don't know, 2-3 document dumps, redactions, put them back in, take them out, Pam Bondi, you know.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
I
I think he. I mean,
No, no.
I don't know. I'm interested to hear everyone's opinions.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
he was for sure very happy that Trump was elected, and I
Well,
get that
but
from
because I think that and Kate, Ellie, Lev, you might be able to feed Zev, you guys might be able to kind of feed in on this, but I wanted to kind of interject here, not because I'm a pain in the ass, although you know if you ask people that live with me, they'll go, "You're a pain in the ass." But I think that when we talk about targets, I think we're talking about assets as targets. Like I think that's what I think we're talking about here.
Yes, I think to your point, I agree with you, because in
Yeah.
Epstein's world, this information was an asset to him, but he had targets who were, okay, I have this person who I keep tabs on for whatever reasons. And so I mentioned the sovereign wealth, right? And the sovereign wealth funds. But what I was thinking while I was writing this is, why would it stop with the sovereign wealth funds if none of this is on the books, right? That's where the Russian oligarchs come in, because they're essentially their own wealth funds, but they can't place their money at all. And so if Epstein's doing this for these other sovereign wealth funds, so that's kind of like where I'm like, so that makes sense to me.
Kate, you're 100% right. And just to bring you up and show you what's happening here. Let me tell you what it's like being in Trump's orbit. People around Trump, especially in the second administration, the first administration, you had people like Bannon that were already doing it. But when you have connections like that, people, Trump is like a useful idiot. While he's running around, people around in his orbit are making money corruptly and doing whatever they can. So a guy like Epstein, and for him to have Bannon, who was Trump's guy on the inside in his campaign, to be able to give him information, to be able to have, it's like having his guy in the White House, and then Epstein having his connections worldwide, especially with the Kremlin. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You could be, I mean, to understand that there's so much we could just, you know, it's like having a Pandora's box. It's endless of the things, and that's just one situation in one case, and there's so many of them that the links are there that are combined. So I agree with Kate 100% of that Donald Trump was a target. And that's why I even said, if you remember, Zev, when we spoke earlier, the difference between the first administration and the second with Trump, why he even ran on the Epstein files, is because nobody ever showed him the Epstein files. Barr never showed it to him. No, Barr never showed it to him. So he never knew that he was so much in the Epstein files. He never realized that he was part of that whole orbit looked into, and so he didn't understand that he was part of that whole orbit, not just Epstein. So when Pam Bondi showed him and he realized, that's when the shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
When they actually,
Ellie, what do you think about Trump and Epstein?
Absolutely agree with the useful idiot. So that during around that period of time when he was running and then getting elected, you could hear Epstein feeling out for answers among his people, right? He'd be emailing people and just seeing what they thought without giving his own opinion, because like he always does, he's trying to reel them in. So he's going to tell them what they want to hear. So he'd ask somebody, see what they thought, ask somebody, see what they thought. Some people are freaked out. Some people are way into it. I think the reason that he wanted Donald Trump in there is because prior to Donald Trump, there had been presidencies that blocked him from having the power he wanted to have in the administration, in global issues, in whatever. And all of a sudden, he had this administration that allowed him to play the way he wanted to play, because nobody was going to block him. And the way he was going to get to do that was through Steve Bannon, even though Steve Bannon had been let go from the White House. And you see, and I really firmly believe that it was a network between Epstein, Bannon, and Michael Wolff. I feel like there was this contingency between the three of them that was building up of Epstein in order to sort of re-enter the world, but at a bigger rate, as a bigger person, as more power. Because he's, like I said, he's talking to like the global finance minister of China and telling them how to take out a loan from the US. Like, why are you telling a global finance minister how to take out a loan? Like, he was very powerful, and these two men were working together in tandem to bring him back to power. And because Trump was in the White House and he's this useful idiot that everybody's sort of managing the country despite the guy in the Oval Office, like, because he's just sitting there and has no idea what he's doing. Like, there are no checks and balances, and Epstein's in the White House, you know, meeting with the Treasury Department. He has all these positions that he doesn't really have, and he could do that because nobody was like keeping an eye out. There was nobody, you know, they're asleep at the wheel. The whole administration was asleep at the wheel. Whereas during the Obama administration, during the Bush administration, he didn't hold any power because he couldn't, because there was actual checks and balances, and the DOJ was working and people were paying attention, and he couldn't just walk into the Treasury Department and make decisions and attend meetings because they'd be like, hey, by the way, you don't work
Well, I think
here.
you did in
Like, who are
2008. I
you?
think you did have meetings.
Oh, okay.
but what you're saying is actually very, important, because I think that Jeffrey Epstein was considered at one point for a cabinet position, if I'm not mistaken, in the Trump cabinet.
Really?
Or at least the name was thrown around.
I'd be curious to see who threw that name around.
Yeah, probably him. But there is a. You've got one network here. We're all working together. Maybe they represent different parties. Maybe they each have allegiances to different foreign intelligence agencies. Probably Bannon is linked to the Chinese. You've probably got, Epstein linked to Israel and
Horshak has his hand up.
Yeah, but can I finish what I was saying?
Do you know what global bank works with more sovereign wealth funds than any bank in the world? Does anybody?
Deutsche Bank?
Deutsche?
No. Rothschild.
Oh, they were named.
Oh, just get to the next thing. But if you just think of this one network, just get back to what I'm trying to say here.
Rothschilds.
Team,
All right,
put your hand down.
I love making Lev laugh. It's the best. Rothschild.
Do you guys remember who Horshak was, by the way?
Horshak, welcome back, Carter. Anybody?
Yeah.
Mr. Hot Tad. No, Casey, you're
Zev,
way
no?
too young.
Oh my God! I'm gonna
Zev
send you a
is-
YouTube.
I have like blind spots in my cultural knowledge.
All right,
Back to what I was saying.
All
The
right,
one
yeah, go ahead,
operation, and they say they've got Donald Trump elected, and he's in the White House. But Jeffrey Epstein can't go see him in the White House. It's too controversial. Is there a thing where you've got him passing messages, as you were suggesting last week, Ellie Leonard, with Michael Wolff sort of running interference between the two? Maybe as Michael Wolff's writing Trump's book, and he's supposedly writing Epstein's book at the same time. Is he using that as a way to communicate within the White House, to get messages inside the White House, and vice versa? Is Bannon then, after he leaves the White House, does he take on that kind of role where he's sort of playing an emissary between Epstein and the White House? So it's not so much that he's doing a real 60-minute documentary or whatever. That's not what he was really doing. He was just in orbit, in being an intelligence, an information peddler, doing what he does, an operative in that world.
They were both fighting over him. They were both, Bannon and Wolff were fighting over who got to be closer and bester friends with Epstein, and who got to revamp his image more, and who had better access to who. And, Michael Wolff was 100% compromised in the world of journalism. Like, he was not there to tell Epstein's story, which he said Epstein begged him to do. Not the case. He really wanted to write Epstein's story, and Epstein was like, okay, fine.
But why wouldn't you have written that story? I mean, if he had all these 100 hours and he's got all the access.
He won't write it now.
For
Where's the
Michael Wolff
story?
and Jeffrey Epstein, where Michael Wolff's like, please, sir, please, let me write your story.
I can't imagine Michael Wolff turning down a book deal of any form and any time.
He's trying to sue Melania. Leave him alone. He's trying to sue Melania.
He is trying to sue Melania, isn't he?
Yeah, leave him alone.
Right.
Let's give the guy a break.
Give the guy a break. He's trying to sue Melania.
He's like, I'm stuck with the level
We'll
that their
get there, yeah.
relationship was. And again, I only transcribed 100 of the 1,800 pages of emails between Epstein and Michael Wolff. But like, it got to the point where Michael Wolff was like, who do you want me to crush for you to stop this story? Who do you want me to speak to for you? Who do you want me to connect you with? Like it was this balance of like, who's got more power, who's connected to more, I'm gonna throw a lot of name dropping. And I started to wonder if he wasn't doing the same thing with all of his time inside the White House. Like we've been led to believe that he's in the White House getting the dish so that he can write stories about Trump, but that's what we thought he was doing with Epstein. And he absolutely 100% wasn't. He was like hanging out and traveling with him and becoming best friends with him. And so I questioned like what information was given back and forth, who got it, what information disappeared, because that's a thing that Michael Wolff did in journalism. He would disappear stories. And so I don't know where I was going this, but like I feel like those two men, Bannon and Wolff, their whole job became to bring Epstein into the fold, except for Epstein was bringing them.
And they were,
into the fold
what you were saying is they were in
power.
competition for who's getting closer to him.
In
For
competition.
mommy's love.
Mommy's love.
But in one network, in one single network.
so-
I think all these people operating in a single club.
Yeah.
I have a
All
question.
trying to achieve the same goals for themselves, maybe as Putin wants or whatever, but they're trying to achieve the same goals. So they're it's the same as any corporation, any club is going to be jockeying for positions. But at the end of the day, they were all pulling in the same direction.
And that's something you said very important. I just want to touch on that
Oh, sure.
quickly is because a lot of people, when we mention Russia or China or Putin, all those people start thinking, assets where, it's like get smart, that they go to a secret passageway. No, these people like Epstein and them like that, they're power money hungry. They're being used by these governments, and they're using their influence, information to be around, to trade off, to make money. This is what it's all about. They use the power of influence while the governments use them, and then once the compromise gets, after certain years, the compromise gets to a certain point, then there is nowhere out. They have to then they become compromised. And it's the same story with all of it. I've seen it happen over my years around a lot of these guys, but starts off
Such a good point, Lev.
This
That's
is
such
literally what my piece is about. Like this was the parts that I was writing. I cannot wait to finish this when we're done.
awesome.
So you should speak to Lev because he's a good interview
Yeah,
on this topic. This is the list of 5 people that Richard Kahn said today all the money came from. He gave 5 entities that said all the money came to Jeffrey Epstein from Steven Sinofsky, and we're all asking, who is Steven Sinofsky? Turns out to be former Microsoft guy. Interesting because it opens up the whole Bill Gates Microsoft story. And the other 4 we sort of knew already. We knew about Leon Black, we knew about Les Wexner, we knew about Glenn Dubin, and we knew about the Rothschilds. This is just one of them, of course. There's a whole family of them. The truth of it is, this can't be the entire list. This seems like a convenient list to put out because these are the names that are currently in the public light already. But there's probably much more than just these 5. Anyone want to take that?
I just am really glad that Glenn Dubin is being named, because I feel like he's the one who's gotten away with the most without getting his reputation tarnished. Like Leon Black has actually had lawsuits against him. Wexner has, the Rothschilds have a huge reputation, but Glenn Dubin has just been like moving along with his wife, and he could be one of the most active players in this story as far as the abuse of girls. And so I'm really glad that he was at least named and his picture is up and people are talking about him, because I don't think that happened before.
So Black's testifying soon. Sorry, go ahead, Dean.
Yeah. As is Darren Indike on the 19th, I think. If I'm not mistaken. Richard Kahn was today, 19th. Leon Black, I think, is later in the month. But here's the question I would ask. And we all understand the fallout from this, obviously, with the children and the women and the sex trafficking network, But these are people that control global power balance, right? The Rothschilds family, Les Wexner, Leon Black, Steven Sinofsky, Glenn Dubin. These are people that control enormous wealth, enormous wealth around the world, and specifically the Rothschilds family.
Yes.
So when we talk about controlling enormous wealth, and Kate, maybe I'll send this to you because you and I haven't had this is our first time we've met. Nice to meet you, Kate.
I know. Nice to really meet you.
Great work. I really appreciate what you do.
Thank
It gets old super fast, Kate. It gets super
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah. She'll get
Okay, go on.
you'll get sick of me. Like Ellie's sick of me. Everybody's sick of me. But the question I would ask is, what is the commonality you see, or the common denominator from everything that you guys have read? And Lev, I'd love for you to kind of lean into this too, because you know these people, you're aware of these people, you've worked with these people, you ran interference on behalf of Trump for these people, knowingly or unknowingly. It doesn't matter. I mean, obviously unknowingly, but Kate, what is it that you see? What is the common denominator between these people? Is it power? Is it influence? Is it, dodging taxes? Like, what is it about these people?
I think it's a little bit of everything. So again, this is very much what my piece is going to be about that I'm going to publish next. But it's a combination, in my opinion, of, because this is where all that wealth movement comes back into play.
Sure.
Like the wealth is the common denominator here. And then I'm sure there's lots of other threads, whether it's certain countries that they have interests in, whatever it is. But the wealth is ultimately what it is. But where I think they all have common denominators is at some point they are either compromised or doing the compromising. Like Epstein was providing something, because I was trying to figure this out as I was writing, like, how does the trafficking fit into this? I mean, obviously there's multiple different avenues that there is with that, because there was, they had trafficking that happened here in the United States. They had it in multiple countries. So there's lots of layers to that. But what I think it was intelligence gathering. So he had what they called the BBB girls. And I forget her name. She ran something best and brightest. I can't remember her name. She ran the best and brightest, and
We were talking about that.
yeah, she
Is her name Melania?
No.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's
No,
No, I
the
think
best.
she might,
That's
but honestly,
different.
I have a whole thread I'm gonna go down with that one. But so he would get, women and offer them, mostly from, other countries, and offer them opportunities for networking and career building in
Eastern Bloc
exchange.
countries, right? Yeah.
Mostly,
yeah.
primarily, yeah. And offer them career opportunities in exchange for going on dates, and then, whatever made these men happy, and he would use them to gather intelligence. And I think that was a large part of that. And I think that intelligence gathering was how he would compromise people into continuing the cycle. So you're going to pay me that higher rate to do this, or else I'm going to release whatever this is. And so I think it kind of sucked people in. So some of them are compromised. So I feel like a lot of these people, Leon Black was definitely compromised. He was definitely not someone who was smart enough to be managing all of this. I feel like they got caught, and I feel like Les Wexner might have gotten caught.
Leon Black's ruthless and a real
I do,
creature
but I
of
feel
the,
like
don't
the
forget who
swamp.
Les Wexner is.
when I say smart enough, I mean
these
are tough guys.
These are
I mean in
gangsters.
terms of not being compromised. Like I feel like Epstein was
Compromise as far as what, Kate? Let me ask you, financially,
as far as getting
or
himself
with the
into a
girls?
situation
With
where
girl
he was thinking
trafficking?
with the wrong head.
Oh,
you know,
no, that's different. Well, no, that and Zev,
I feel like
that's
maybe he
different.
didn't have the control there, and something got him in trouble early on, because I feel like
Or
him
the
and then
power
go ahead.
thrill that
Go
he got
ahead.
out of it. Yeah, but,
No,
but Lev, what you're talking about is really important. The financial compromise is what they were after a lot of the time. Compromise to allow them to do their own deals, to make their own money, to compromise other people, to make sure that other deals fell. Like they would have been in charge of the financial. It's much more important than the sexual side, I think.
Yes, that was very much like just as it was a tool to get that intel, to get that, because these girls would be in rooms with these men who had no idea that they were spies.
Absolutely. 100%.
Had no idea. But there's multiple emails of Epstein going back and forth with these girls,
and
coaching them.
Till this day, they
yeah,
use
and
the
that's
girls,
what that's the honeypot, and mostly.
Exactly.
And then obviously it goes further together and there's lots of abuse, and then there's these men who can't control themselves and they
well,
want what they want. So
But
Well,
Lev, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Red Sparrow, and I'm a movie guy, but that's what Kate's talking about. We're talking
Yeah.
about an FSB fucking
Well,
pillar of espionage, right?
yeah, well,
Mhm.
it's not only FSB, but it happens in actually the oligarchy work, because this compromise is gathered by different types of organ, not just
Mhm.
just when we say Russian, doesn't have to be actual FSB. There's so many
Yeah.
different people that compromise. Like I give you, like Hunter Biden, for instance. When the FSB took a copy of his laptop, so did Zlochevsky, the owner of the. So there was compromise from both sides. So this use of girls and honeypots, and this is a very good subject that we're talking about with, and Kate is doing a great job on this to differentiate what from my just being around in that world, knowing how some of these powerful people act, is that when they get comfortable, like guys like Leon Black, and this is why it's a good example when you say they're
Yes.
smart. Yeah, they're powerful, they're smart, and they're so powerful and smart that they can't be themselves in the regular world. They can't just go order an escort or do something. They're scared of or cheat, because like a celebrity, they usually get comfortable around somebody that they feel is like good. So what happens is when they start doing business with a guy like Epstein, I'll give you an example of how this works. They start doing business with a guy like Epstein, they start go dinner, they start building a relationship. Next thing you know it, they get closer. He says, oh, by the way, look at this young girl. Oh, she's beautiful. Oh, would you like a massage? Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, next thing you know, he got a massage. First time, nothing big deal. He's more, come to my island, or
Kept
let's
his
go.
underwear on.
Yeah, and before you know it, they let their guard down, and they feel like
Yep.
they become in a world where, like Kate says, they start thinking with the other head, but they think
Mhm.
because they're so powerful, and they're so that they think that they're still in control of the situation with guys like Epstein. But what really is happening is guys like Epstein over the years is using that for financial money power, and then using that influence then to push. Because remember, once you're in the world, people say blackmail. You don't have to blackmail when Leon Black knows that he's been caught in compromising positions, and all of a sudden you're Epstein. You come, hey Leon, I need a favor. Are you gonna say no? You don't say
Mhm.
no in those circles. That's why they become like a brotherhood of such where they don't think any. And that's why for so many years all of these survivors have been suffering with the cover-up, because it's not pertained to one party or one. They really became untouchables
They're the
because it's
wonderful secrets that
the
Trump
secrets.
speaks about
Correct.
in the birthday book.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
Exactly.
That
And
Dr.
listen,
Jacobs is exactly
if
right.
you wanted, if anybody wanted a better explanation from anybody who's been on the inside of how this works, it's Mr. Lev Parnas,
no, he's over
running
there.
for
Agreed.
Congress.
Yeah.
Ali's over there, the
Yeah, there we
sausage
go.
maker.
I'm going to try point. Which one? It's
No,
so I'm going to get it wrong. Lev, that is,
I
and
heard-
Kate does it
yeah.
very accurate. Go ahead, Ali.
Yeah, thank you.
I was just going to say, I heard something, and I don't know if you guys have heard this before. This is just a little off thought. I don't know if you guys have ever talked with Marlon Weems before. He's the journeyman on Substack, but he has talked to me a couple of times. Great guy. He used to work in finance on Wall Street. And he said, he knows some of the stories of the things that happened down there, but he said when he worked there, there was always discussion of one guy who was nameless, who had a black book, who had information on everybody. And he said that was just known. It was just known where he worked that there was some guy with a black book
That
on,
guy.
and it was talked about. There was that guy. And he goes, I didn't really think about it for many years. And he's like, now I'm thinking about it.
Well, on
We were
that
I
talking
topic,
about Donald Trump or Jeffrey Epstein, because both
I
of
think he
them
was talking about
were
Jeffrey
involved in
Epstein.
that kind of
It
stuff.
was in
well,
it
one
was in
thing I
finance.
just
It was
wanted
in the
to
finance
add on
sector.
to that, because my husband had thrown this at me the other day. It was just something that one of his friends had said. He's like, and I have no idea if this is true. It was just something that they said, but the Dos Equis thing, like the most interesting guy in the world or the most interesting man in the world, he's like, I think that was like supposed to be Epstein.
Dos
And I was
Equis.
like,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And it's
The
like,
beer
it's like
collection.
he's like, and everything's mysterious, but he has and knows everything, and everyone wants to be him, but nobody
Yeah.
can get. And I was like,
Wow.
wow, maybe. Like,
most-
I mean, it would make sense because he knew all these people, right? Like, he was in these networks.
But the thing about
So,
it that,
it was
that would
interesting.
lead
It was an
into the
interesting thought.
Dos Equis, narrative is that, and Lev, maybe you can kind of share this, your perspective because you know these people, but he seemed pretty nonchalant in all those emails, didn't he? You know, like other
Depends
than
on
the
who he
panicking
talked
when the
to.
walls are closing in, like
Mhm.
he seems like, hey, yeah, we're gonna do this. You come to the island. I've got these girls. It's all good. You're gonna have a great
Yeah.
time. Like there was this like real kind of aura that I got from those emails, and maybe you guys could kind of respond to that.
Depends on who he was
Untouchables.
talking to.
Yeah.
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 He had different personalities for everybody he was talking
Mhm.
to, and
Yes, he
his
did.
personalities would change over time with the people he's talking to as his relationship. So
That's
his,
really interesting,
the way,
Ellie.
right, well, how he
I
talked
never
to
heard anyone
Bannon.
say that about him, and that would be really interesting if you could
Right.
like
Yeah.
work on explaining that a little
Well,
bit further.
Yeah,
because
that would be a
you-
cool
That's a
piece.
that's a great point to what we're
Yeah.
talking
If
about.
you
Go ahead, Ellie.
see,
And
I
then
know
I'll
I've
touch on that.
overanalyzed it way too
No,
much.
no,
I
it's a great
No,
point.
it's great.
That's why
missed
that's
my
why
psychology
he's able
degree.
to do what he's done, because you
Right.
have to be a like a
Chameleon.
multiple chameleon.
Well, it's like a
because-
neurodivergent. I feel like I relate to
He-
that a little bit because
He thought he was autistic.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I am.
Yeah.
I'm ADHD or whatever it
Yeah.
is. But yeah, keep going. Anyway, I didn't mean to
Well,
interrupt you,
he
but
said
yeah.
he said in one of his emails he thought he was autistic, but like if you look at his emails to his brother, they're all one word answer, one word answer. So that really identifies the relationship and how, you know, versus what Mark was seeking love from his brother, and he was just kind of shut him down. When he started his relationship with Bannon, he had 2-3 word answers. By the end of their relationship, when Bannon had the upper hand and was meeting with global leaders and going places and doing
Fucking
the things that
poetry.
Epstein want to do,
Yeah.
right? And then Epstein was
Poetry,
living
yes.
vicariously through him. He's living vicariously through him as he travels to meet these people because he's becoming more and more isolated. He has these kind of long and gushing letters of like, what's going on, guys? What are you doing? Like his whole personality would change depending on if he was speaking to one of the women who worked for him, who was
Part of the
younger,
Oh,
manipulation.
yeah.
someone like Fergie, who was older. And then as Fergie
Yeah.
became more needy and wanted more from him, he would close off and start
Yep.
doing 2-word
Part-
emails. Like he shifted his
And he was
personality.
strategic. So like I feel like some of it was personality shifting to accommodate, but some of it was like you could tell he'd studied the psychology of like battering
he read
people
a lot.
and making them victims and making them dependent and how to use that language.
Yeah, well, he had a
Dependent is the-
formula,
dependent
right?
is the
Like,
key
like
word.
He
you,
did.
you
He had a
talk
whole-
about,
he had a lot of
he
limits.
had a
master.
whole fucking thing. Like you go through the emails and the work that you two incredible stalwarts have put into this. You know, what I get out of both of your work, Kate, Ellie, everybody follow both of them, hit the chiron at the top immediately.
And don't
Is
forget
that
Zev.
you
Don't forget
really
Zev.
kind
My
of
man
it's okay.
Zev.
It's
My
okay.
man
It's
Zev.
easy to
Stuff
forget.
too.
Yeah,
So
Zev.
fun.
I do it every day with
That's
Zev. I don't
why
do it
Ellie
every day
takes
with
work
the
so
girls.
much.
Yeah, yeah, no. Every day I sing Zev's praises. So
Yeah,
Um,
we love each other, and you know.
yeah, we're in love. We're in love. We got a
I
digital
can't wait
thing.
to hear more about it later. But
No. Look at the
That was an after show.
after show.
There was a theory that he had. There was a formula that he'd worked on, and
there's
a
a
degree
formula,
that he
and
was writing in Harvard.
And it was on like it was like and if you remember the pictures that were, and I go back to this, listening to you, incredible reporters and investigative reporters talking about, you know, this kind of formula where he kind of perfected it. And I got to tell you, like, as someone who understands that kind of mentality, Lev, you might be able to understand this mentality. When you know you got someone, you don't have to give them anything.
absolutely. And
Nothing.
that's why
Say nothing.
That's why
He gave
like,
nothing to
what-
Ken Starr.
That's why, like what Ellie and Kate and Zev were talking about. That's why it's so important. It's part of knowing who. So, like, if it's when you're trying to get something, you're that sweet kind of guy where you're trying to get. Once you got him on the hook, all of a sudden now you're trying to, it's like not speak to him, because the more you're not paying him attention, the more he wants you, and you start playing that game until you manipulate. And the whole key
Sexy
is
deference is what it's called.
Well, with
Sexy
a lot of the guys, it
Sexy
wasn't
deference?
back then. Also, with a lot of these guys, it wasn't just the sexual stuff. There was a lot of stuff from. There was also drugs. A lot of people. It all had to do with secrets. It had to do because when you're so powerful, and a lot of these groups, I've also saw a lot of this happen in Hollywood. When I had my little stint, when I went to LA, and I said, so all of these cliques have that when they're in their little clique and they feel comfortable, they let their guard down. And when they let
Mhm.
their guard down, they feel untouchable because they're so powerful and they're so
Yeah.
they're so connected. And that's why you see what happened, and not only the Epstein, but you saw what happened with Weinstein. You saw what happened with P. Diddy, even though P. Diddy didn't get convicted and all of that stuff. But you saw it's the same type of a clique situation. This Epstein is just on the highest level of the world. This is not Hollywood. This is, you're talking about other countries, on top level presidents, prime ministers, royalty, and so on. So the whole key, and that's why I agree with Zev, Ellie, and Kate, is it's all start and all was all about power and money and influence. All of the other
Mhm.
stuff, the sexuality, yes, their true colors came out, and then you start seeing it over the years being manipulated, used. Some enjoyed it, some used it for money. It was all in different ways, but it was
It was
all had to
currency.
do. It
Oh
was
yeah, I
currency.
remember now.
girls-
It was
the
the
girls were
appendages.
currency.
It was
Yeah.
about using biology of deception to create appendages of yourself, with other, or have other humans become appendages of yourself. That was his theory.
Right.
Yeah, which
And
is,
he lost
just kind
that.
of bizarre.
He
Like when you think
started,
about it, this dissertation, that's crazy to think about that. But that's what he was doing, and also what he was doing in real life in trying to lure all these people, these high-end professionals, these women, everyone to sort of create this aura of mystique, create this aura of this enigma of this super powerful person. He probably wasn't, on his own, he would have had none of that power, but emboldened by the foreign money and the criminality and he was able to sort of intersect all these worlds together and create quite a powerful operation that, I still think to this day, we're not quite seeing how close Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were to each other.
No.
And there's a little
No,
clue
not at
today.
all. That's in
Although-
all those files they won't show us.
Yeah. Hey, listen, when you cancel a Zorro Ranch LiDAR investigation in 2019 and you continue to, not give the Epstein Transparency Act everything that they've asked for, and on top of it, during that whole experience, you get to a point where you're like, oh my God, we now have Richard Kahn saying that Donald Trump had to pay off a minor through the Epstein estate, or whether or not you want to use that language doesn't matter to me. That's how I look at it.
Something like that happened, yeah.
And then you've
so
got
that's a huge question.
million. Again, I go through the whole exercise, and Lev, you go through it with me all the time. 1 million unredacted mentions of him, and 31 different. Like, fuck, if it walks and talks, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump, according to Richard Kahn today, and this is kind of the takeaway I have. And I do have a heart out because my partner has just told me I got to leave.
We've taken up
That's
a lot
why I
of
don't do
different
things
time.
after
So
7 o'clock. I'm an own man.
we'll wrap up after your answer here.
But everything that these incredible people, whether it's Kate or Ellie or Lev, firsthand experiences, Zev, the financial trail going back to 1980. I mean, this is here. This is happening. Like if you're on the outside of this and you're a MAGA guy, cool, great. What about girls? What about these women? What about these children? What about the families that were destroyed by settlements they had to give people to prevent them from actually coming back and destroying this pedophile sex trafficking ring that has gone on for fucking 40 years.
It's
40
disgusting.
years.
And it does need to
And they-
end, and it is still
they're-
going on.
The settlements weren't necessarily fair either. They didn't hand every girl the same check. They handed
Right.
some
Exactly.
10
Whoever
million,
they try to negotiate.
50,000 bucks. Right.
Right.
Some
It's,
walked away with not even enough to pay their legal bills.
exactly.
But the headline tonight really is that the Epstein criminal network, the estate that was the criminal network, paid off Donald Trump's accuser. I mean, that's just plain fact. In order to
It's everything.
keep them
It's
quiet.
everything.
I
And
mean,
you know
that's
what?
everything
If
he
I
said.
can, I want to throw it to Lev here in a second. But if I can, this is the first tangible connection.
Smoking gun. This is there's no more. That's what I'm saying to you. This is the link to, and if anything, that's what I'm saying to you when we talk about criminal procedures and everything. But at the least, Donald Trump needs to step down, just like everybody else, or at least have some. There has to be. I mean, right now we have today we had a witness literally come out and say that yes, the Epstein estate paid off a victim that was 13 to 15 years old that that basically said Donald Trump raped her, folks. And there's
In
and the breaking news
1984.
in
And it was
1984.
paid. Like
And
it
it was
was
paid.
paid off.
And they
Yes.
paid the
and
money.
So
I mean,
this is
And
paid. I
she says
mean,
that in her deposition too. She says that
Yep.
she's like, I want to say this up front, just so I don't know if this is going to get me in trouble, but I was paid by the Epstein.
I swear to
So when
you,
was that? Was that 2019 or 2020?
2023.
23, okay.
Are you sure? I thought it was between 2020 and 2021. I could be
it
wrong,
could have
but
been, it could be, but I just want
I
to say
did.
to you that that is one of the main reasons I swear to you, if I was in Congress right now, you would hear such, I mean, I would kick such shit. I can't even
and
explain
to
to you,
that
like,
point,
right now,
Lev, the other thing I just want to say is that Basent is not releasing those financials. Like he's the
Oh,
one
yeah.
that's saying, nope, I'm not getting, and that is why there's that. And then it goes back to all of this sovereign money and all of this stuff that I'm talking about. And this is why. And the fact that there's somebody who can say that, no, we're not going to release that. I mean, that is absolutely wild, especially after what we heard today. Like, I don't know how they can allow that.
It's a good place to wrap up today's show, but I want to give everyone an opportunity to talk about what they're doing and what they want to promote. And again, Lev, I'm going to start with you because you got some big news that you just shared with everyone last week. So tell everyone what you're up to and how they can help you out.
Folks, well, you know, I love all of you, and we have an incredible, all of you out here. The support is amazing. The first thing is always go support this incredible group here of independent journalists. Ellie, Kate, Dean, Zev, you know, Waj is not here as part of our team usually. I mean, we are what somebody called the Wolf Pack, folks. I got my shirt today. I finally, Michael Cohen gave us a name, but each and every one of you, we are all the Wolf Pack. And I just want to say this, the Epstein files, it's all about speaking truth to power. Each and every one, I mean, if you take a look at these incredible people here that every day they go out there breaking stories, talking about, they're speaking truth to power. And it's not easy because a lot of these stories, not everybody liked them. There's certain stories, truth that we came out, people are like, no, we want to go. And we had to stand on our merits. And that's why the truth is the truth. It doesn't matter what side you are, if you're a Republican, Democrat, what religion you are, what color you are, the truth is the same. And facts matter. And that is why the one thing I do want to ask you folks is if you can, please donate to levparnas.org. It's our campaign. I'm running for the 27th seat district here in the state of Florida. But it's not only for the state of Florida, it's for each and every single one of us, for the Wolf Pack, for every person out there that wants to get accountability from this government, because I'm the only person that knows Donald Trump, that knows their inner circle, that has the receipts, and that needs to get into Congress and show these Democrats how it's time to fight and stop, you know, taking a knee to everything that's going on. So if you can, go again to levparnas.org and contribute if you can. Thank you.
Oh, so
you be American
paid subscribers. They could also become contributors to your campaign. Is there something they should know about the difference between the two?
Thank you, Zev. I appreciate that because I do want to do a disclaimer. So first of all, for the paid campaign, only for American citizens. For all of our international subscribers, God bless you, but you can't contribute to the campaign. Only
it's got us in trouble before in America.
Dude, you go to jail again.
Exactly. We'll make sure, you know, and if anybody has, please let us know. DM me. We'll get it back to you immediately. But I am going to continue the Every Members platform. This is our home here, Substack. This is something. It's like, you know, a doctor that becomes a congressman or a lawyer becomes a congressman, they get to keep their job. Well, this is my job. I get paid from paid subscribers. So if you want to support my work, which I'm going to be doing here, I'm actually going to be, as a surprise, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm planning on doing my campaign, guys, as a reality show. I'm going to do one. Yeah. Well, when I may say reality show, I'm saying to you, I'm going to do it.
We wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, no, because you know what? I want everything to be in the open. No backdoor deals, no conversations. You want to speak to me on camera, the whole world's going to know about it. You want to cut a deal. So this is what I'm trying to do. So for all the paid subscribers, obviously, it's my home. I'm going to give you incredible content. So it's only going to get better. But that's the way to support me individually. But the campaign is the most important thing because it's to save our democracy. If you can, that's levparnas.org. And we're going to take our our democracy back with our Wolff pack here.
It's a really smart idea to do the reality show. Great idea,
Yeah.
Lev.
The Real Housewives of the 27th district.
Well, you know, you know what? Everybody. The biggest thing about these campaigns and everything is what happens behind the scenes, what
Yeah.
the public doesn't know about, and that. So, you know what I said? Enough is enough. You know what? One of my platforms that I'm running to Congress is to blow up all of this, you know, secrecy, all of this cabal, all of this corruption that's going on that I've witnessed, been a part of, went to
Institutionalism,
prison for.
You want to get rid
I mean,
of
I
it.
went to prison. Yeah, I went to prison for some of the stuff that I know. Who better than me to tell you who I gave the money to, and then have these people. Can you imagine me? Like Jamie Raskin said, Lev, all I want to do is have you sit next to me when we're going to have the house, and we're going to subpoena these people, and you're going to question them. Can you imagine that? I mean,
That'll be great.
That's going to be incredible.
And at the same time, showing them their own texts.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, the campaign's gonna get interesting. I mean, it's about. I mean, right now, I don't know. There's a lot of breaking news happening here. Just if I could touch on 2 seconds, guys, because it has to do with Marco Rubio, Venezuela, Donald Trump. There's actually a hearing coming up in Florida right now that Marco Rubio's right-hand man, that is connected to basically a cabal here in Florida that I used to work for, Brian Ballard and everybody, that is connected to a $50 million bribery from the Maduro's government to guess who was involved? Susie Wiles.
Oh,
And Marco Rubio is a witness. So it just broke. We're breaking some of this news right now.
wow, that's huge news.
Oh,
This is
yeah, I
huge
didn't know
news.
that.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So just I want to let you know that this is just the beginning. That's why, you know, and I need my Wolff pack with me, because we're gonna take Epstein is just the beginning, where there's everybody. The Wolff pack has been formed, each and every one of you, that we're not gonna allow. You know, we got some plans. Zev has some plans. Dean, I know, Ellie, Kate, we're all working on a lot of stuff together. That once it comes together, you guys will be very happy.
All right, that's Lev Parnas. Ellie, do you want to go?
Oh, I was going to say, I'm going to keep working on this case out of South Carolina, because I'm in too far to give up now. And I need to figure out, you know, the main points, what's true, what's not true. And right now that means reading these tiny little articles that say who the real estate agents were and trying to find them and trying to talk to them. And I've determined who all the players are in this case. I know the names of all the people behind the scenes. And so now I just need to figure out if there's any documentation at all that can verify who was where and when. And
we should do a show just on this together, because I've got my own version of these facts. It would be great to go back and forth and see who found out what. And everyone should subscribe to Ellie Leonard at the Panic Writer. Is still called that, or is it just Ellie Leonard?
I know. I
Just
can't
find
change
Ellie
it.
Leonard.
No, she's got thousands of subscribers now. Yeah. Panic Writer. Yeah.
I don't know what the opposite of Panic Writer would be. The highly confident, successful,
Totally
incredible
calm.
Substack. Totally calm.
Ellie, tell me how your son felt when he came home and he got all those subscribers on his YouTube.
Oh yeah, so he woke up and he only had 11 subscribers on his YouTube, and he lost 2 overnight, and he was devastated. And his friends are very competitive about it, and I was like, well, hold on, I'll just put something on Substack, and he came home to 1,000 subscribers.
Wow, yeah.
Well, you created a monster
we're
now,
gonna turn
Ellie.
off the comments. No, he likes he's an animator. I know he's he loves to like make films and animate, and he's a very smart little cookie. So
cool.
he's having a good time.
Awesome.
Well, listen, share his information with me, because we're doing some logo stuff with a couple of different companies. So we'll talk again. Yeah.
Sure.
Dean, do you want to tell everyone about deanblundell.substack.com and all the great things you do there?
Nah.
You want me to tell everyone about the great things? Everyone should subscribe to Dean Blundell.
Listen, I'll tell you why I'm here. This is the truth. I never do anything after 7 o'clock, and I'll tell you why. And y'all mock me before in the private chat. We're like, oh, he's up past 7 o'clock. I fucking love you people. I love everybody here. And I'll tell you why I love everybody here. We're all chasing the same thing, which is merit, which is truth. And to be here with all of you today is so incredible. So I have nothing to promote. I don't want anything from anybody. I just want to tell everybody here, it is such a fucking privilege to be involved in this group, to be involved in chasing history, to be in this group of people who you know, I can truthfully tell you the merit of their values matches the merit of their works. These aren't words. These are people who prove it every single fucking day. So do me a favor and subscribe to Lev Parnas, Lev Parnas for Congress.org. Send him a bunch of money, like all your money. Same thing with Kate. Same thing with Ellie. Same thing with Zev.
And Ellie's son as well.
Yeah, don't do that. I don't need that. And listen, I'm here to amplify people that are smarter than me, and to be on this panel with all of you is such a wonderful experience. And I'm celebrating my first anniversary on Substack.
Oh, happy anniversary!
Congratulations! That
My
is
very
so
first
amazing.
anniversary on Substack, and I want to point to one person right there. That guy, Zev Shalev, that literally.
You're pointing to me, but okay.
That's okay.
That's okay.
I love.
We're
I was gonna
interchangeable.
say he's pointing
I
to
can be
that
fan.
guy.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
On
Zev
my
is-
screen, that's Zev. But I
He'll
want
move
to
around.
point something out, is that Zev Shalev has been at this for years. And watching him, watching all of you be validated through the process, and to be involved in that, my God, it's the honor of my lifetime. I love you all. I really do. I love Lev Parnas. I think Ellie Leonard is.
He's good when he stays up late, eh? He gets all.
I know. Yeah, you're gonna make us do this more often.
You're
I'm gonna get to
cut
know
off. You muted.
And
No, you're not. You're good.
There's back.
oh, am I muted? You
It's
can't
okay.
hear
We
me?
got it.
No,
We
we
got
hear
it.
you.
Your microphone's tired too.
Okay, yeah. Okay, well, it's the glitch in the machine. But I've gotten to know Ellie Leonard. That woman right there sent me a $25 Starbucks certificate for my birthday.
Oh,
Like out of
me
nowhere.
too. Me too. Just how
I
about
know
you? Though,
she
me
did.
too.
I know.
she did.
I
love
mean,
her.
this
She's
is such
incredible.
a group. This is a family of people that look out for each other, love each other.
Yep.
And we're here to do that for you too. So if you can do everybody a favor here, all of us, I want you to subscribe to Kate Justice, Kate, we're going to get to know each other.
Incredible,
You and I are
Kate.
going to do some
Mhm.
one-on-ones. You are
It's
incredible.
true.
Incredible,
Ellie, who
Kate.
is a fucking North Star. Zev, who has been fucking literally put through the ringer by
know.
the machine that he's still exposing. And Lev Parnas, who fucking did jail time to be here.
Yeah.
I mean, folks, we mean it.
You
And
know.
follow these beautiful people today. That's all I have to say.
From the big house to the house, the people's house is what Parnas' story is
Big
going to be
house to
about.
the house. That sounds like
Kate Justice,
Lots of
tell
house.
everyone about your site, because you just turned this into a full-time job for yourself. So
I literally
everyone
did.
needs to be subscribing
was-
to you.
That's really
Thank you.
cool.
I was
Thank
laid
you.
off over, I don't even know what month it was. And so I was looking for a job and I started writing, and the whole Kate Justice thing came about because I did a lot of activism around government corruption and Superfund sites. Specifically, it was more related because I live in one. And so I just started writing, and then it evolved into the Epstein files. And that, I can talk about that forever. But this month is really kind of my first month where I'm like, wow, I think I can pay my bills and do this full time.
that's
And,
awesome.
so now I'm like trying to figure out how I sustain this and keep writing for everyone. And you all kind of know what I'm working on. I'm literally hoping to publish it tonight because I probably won't be able to help myself. So, yeah, so stay
Fucking hurry
tuned.
up.
Thank you.
Hurry
I
up,
You
know.
go to the Jared Kushner stuff, and you've got some great Jared stuff on your
Yeah,
site.
I
And
do.
I've got some other
And
Jared
thank you
Kushner
guys for
information for
having
you.
me. Yeah.
I'm going to send that to you afterwards. One last
Okay.
thing. I didn't say that Richard Kahn mentioned that there was another head of state who was not American head of state, but a foreign head of state who was a client of Jeffrey Epstein. I may have my guesses on who that
Hood
is.
Barak. I believe that.
I don't think it's a Hood Barak. I don't think it's a Hood Barak.
You don't think
You
it's
don't think
Barack?
so?
No, I think it was mentioned. There was something I saw. I don't know if it
I
was
think it's-
Aaron who
it's-
posted it. Maybe it was a screenshot of someone's tweet. And
I know that Putin, by the way, just because I know we've all got to go, but Putin is one possibility because Putin was rumored to be a client of Jeffrey Epstein, and Jeffrey
Oh,
Epstein certainly
yeah.
bragged
You see
about
Lev's
that.
face? You see
And
Lev's
the
face
second
when
one
he
is the
said-
Queen of England.
He's like this.
So the Queen of England might be the same. Okay. And on that note, I'm going to say goodnight, everybody.
Yes,
And thank you for being here on this
Good night,
great Epstein Network panel.
Fun.
We'll see you again next time.
I love y'all.
thank you
I love
guys.
you.
We love you
Have a
more.
good
We love you,
night.
everybody. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Yay.